All right, so the first question goes to Archie. Let's start where all of our mulch producers start, and that's with their raw material. And there's so many factors when it comes to recycling different raw materials into quality finished landscape materials. And maybe I should just get out of the way. The definition of quality mulch can vary greatly all across this country, depending on where you're at and what different customers see as a beautiful mulch. But in general, what would you say a mulch manufacturer needs to be thinking about when it comes to producing the best quality material? What do those raw materials look like?
The best would be to have a log truck show up and drop off a load of logs. If you're from the lumber mill side of it, bring me your bark, where it's been gone through a debarker and that type of thing. So you have those different types of materials. I'm not going to say it's rare, but it's fairly uncommon.
Right.
So, but yeah, that would be the way. I mean, like in the Southeast, today's market price of, a hardwood is $28 and pine is $32. So you could go that route and you would have a nice, clean product.
Yeah. If you have a market willing to pay a premium price. Yep. So it really comes down to, consistent quality logs is going to produce consistent quality mulch.
That's correct.
We know so many of our mulch producers don't have that luxury to pay for the raw material. They're a waste disposal site, and they're taking in whatever the local tree contractors, landscapers, residents are bringing them. And so they've got to manage all kinds of wood waste. And so talk to me about different tactics or different ways our mulch producers utilize these varying levels of quality material to ultimately produce a consistent looking product, no matter the source. Can you unpack?
Yeah, I guess what we would look at there is, if you had pallets coming in or dimensional wood that has been kiln dried, probably would want to kind of put that off to the side.
Right.
And then, of course, your typical land clearing debris, brush, that type of thing, it could all be placed in one area. Chips could even be put into that. But, what you're trying to do is that you've got, if you're going to do a coloring application, or if we're just going to use nature to color that material, the material that already has moisture in it is going to react differently than what has been kiln dried.
Right.
With kiln dry, we're talking about 5 to 10% moisture. When we're talking about material that's been brought in, we could be talking in the 50%.
Depending on the season.
Yeah, depending on the season. And down as low as maybe 35%, but that's kind of where it's going to stay.
Right.
So, basically with our stuff that our green waste and, logs, whatever that came in, we're going to do that initial grind, and then we're just going to allow nature to take its place from that point. We're going to start, a decomposition. It's basically going to compost for the most part. We're going to have oxidation from the sun, from, the rains and so forth that come down. The pile itself that you create that in is going to be more like a slow cooker.
Right.
So we're going to build up that heat, and then we're going to be turning that wood color naturally. Right. Whereas with the pallet material is just going to be a little bit more difficult. That could be dyed and so forth.
It's going to take more dye, more colorant,
right,
to make that white, clean wood black or dark. We often see it being used a lot more for the red mulches because it covers and it makes a much more vibrant red mulch. But I think you're right, by segregating it, it's a different material to process.
It is.
Mm-hmm. So along the lines of aging it, what are some of the downfalls to taking raw, fresh wood waste and trying to grind it and color it right away?
Well, it's, you have to think of the end customer a lot on that. You're going to have moisture in that product as far as now, this is from a green wood waste, not so much from a pallet, but, with young plants and so forth, they can literally rob the nitrogen from the surface, from just,
flower beds.
Flower beds, that type of thing, not a really deep rooted. But, also, you have the lignins and stuff and the leachate that can come from that as well if you have large amounts of that, which can rob oxygen. So it's good to have that stuff to cure prior to getting it out. So
and that's usually 60, 90 days.
Yeah.
Grind it, let it sit. And then we're doing a final grind to create that beautiful, consistent product. The colorant also absorbs into the wood a lot easier and better coverage when the material's aged and some of that moisture is gone and
Yeah.
materials broke down a little bit as well.